Welcome back to Leaders in Tech. This is episode 2. My name is Victoria. I'm Chief Marketing Officer at Yango Tech. Today we'll talk about the things that rarely come together about beauty and technology. And we want to talk about this interesting shift where luxury shopping shifts to shopping in your own browser. And my guest today is Rana Alwassal, e-commerce digital marketing manager at KIKO Milano. And Rana has lived this transformation firsthand, starting from her experience in Piana, one of the luxurious brand, and now in KIKO Milano, that is the fastest growing beauty brand in GCC. Rana, we are so happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks, Victoria.
Let's start. Welcome to the show. And my first question to you is very simple. Not many people understand what is digital manager. So can you explain a few things about what you do?
Happy to. Thanks for having me. When people ask what I do, I try to simplify as much as possible and tell them I help luxury and beauty brands show up online in the ways that they deserve. I try to maintain a localized, seamless, and true to the brand DNA experience online. I try to merge digital strategy along with the cultural resonance. And in doing that, it's very important to not just launch the brand online or on the app, but to also make sure that it doesn't lose its soul when it's moving from boutique floors to website browsers and apps. Because my previous experiences have always been with international / global brands, I work in a very lean team here in Dubai. It's almost always been either myself alone or myself and another team member. So the job is extremely hands-on. You can think of merchandising, analytics, localization, up to strategy setting for the next 5 years. And I'm extremely grateful to be able to do that because it's truly rewarding and it's very, very hands-on, as I mentioned. And because in the GCC, everything is, especially in Dubai, we were talking earlier about how everything is so fast-paced and how so much is happening in the region. So it's a great moment for us to be part of the digital space. So whether it's staging a campaign in the UAE or launching with a partner in KSA online, I try to merge the gap between offline and online while staying true to the brand's true core persona and, of course, providing a customer experience that's unmatched because I am very customer-centric. Yeah. I think there's a lot to do for the GCC customer in specific. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much what I do.
This is very interesting. When you say GCC client in specific, what exactly do you mean and how it differs from the ones in Paris?
Yeah, I think we're very particular in the GCC. We're very spoiled, I must say. I can't put it any other way. We've got, 10 minutes delivery. We've got snap deliveries across all the platforms. It's a very competitive landscape. And I think the other thing that makes us very unique is that we're very proud of ourselves. We're very proud of our heritage. We're very close to our culture, to our DNA. And I think that's why all of the brands are using the buzzword localization. And it's something I'm guilty of. I think I'm localization first when it comes to any campaign we're rolling out, be it online or offline. We're all very driven by appearing or showing up as a brand that the customer can relate to here. Because if you don't do it, other brands are, and they're doing it very well as well. Especially in the beauty landscape, it's a very self-expressive, very individualistic industry. And it's extremely volatile and it's extremely trend-driven. And amongst all of those fast-moving elements, it's very important to be able to maintain the local tone and also maintain the customer experience. Because, as I said, if you're not doing it right, another brand or many other brands are. And I think with beauty and with every industry, you can't risk becoming irrelevant, or you can't risk having a customer experience that's not top-notch, because that's where things start to break. And I think word of mouth is extremely important here. We're a very closely tied community in the Gulf where we speak to each other a lot, we share experiences. And if a brand shows up in more than one conversation in a negative manner, that's the beginning of the end, in my opinion.
I see, interesting. And when you say localization, so it's very broad, thing. What exactly you do? Can you drop an example?
Of
Something
course.
that works in here and it will never work in Paris, for example.
I think one misconception that I'd like to tackle is that the Gulf or the Middle East is often grouped together, which I understand. We're very close in proximity. I think a lot of us respond to brands in a similar way. But it's important to distinguish that each Middle Eastern country or each Middle Eastern customer shops in a completely different way. So what works in KSA might not work here and vice versa, and they're both equally important markets. When I say localization, I'm thinking of things as specific as dialects. You look at the Middle Eastern customer and you think they all speak Arabic, so it's going to work everywhere, and that's very far away from the truth. I see it in all of the aspects when I look at heat maps on the website and I see people dropping off in a market because of a word that's not, used in KSA as much as it would be used in Qatar, for instance. I think also with beauty and fashion, it's very dominated by influence or influencers per se. So I think the selection of the faces that you're using for your campaigns and for your brand is very important. People are very, as Gen Z would call it, they're very woke right now. They're very in touch. They're very, they're tapping into the conversation online every single day, continuously. Even if they're not making the transaction online, which most probably they're not, especially when it comes to beauty, they're probably ending up in one of your stores. They do listen online and they do make a lot of noise online. So it's important to choose localized faces and faces that resonate with your brand persona. So it's not just about translating. And I think, I'm sure you've heard many funny stories about people using Google Translate and, having campaigns built around a tagline that doesn't work at all. So it's very important to treat each of the markets independently and to really tap into what customers are looking for at the moment.
Interesting. And can you give example of some unexpected trend that you launched here in the area that you didn't think it will be coming?
Of course. I think the first that comes to mind is our last Ramadan campaign. That campaign was an enormous success. It was focused on traditions, culture. The choice of faces for the campaign was extremely precise and in line with what we were trying to showcase to our customers. It was actually the tagline was Al Gamal fi Anakasik, which means the beauty is in your reflection. And it was themed around very intimate moments when it comes to whether it's a woman's routine, whether it's, the routine you have with your family during Ramadan. As you're aware, Ramadan is the most important moment in the region. I think all brands are trying to own that moment extremely well because they know it can really make or break your presence in the region. And I think KIKO Milano has done an amazing job last year with that. When I think of AI and when I think of how e-com played a role in that, of course, the campaign, the assets, everything was generic to the brand. But when you look at online and how we were using, for instance, our search engines and our synonyms, we spent a lot of time as soon as we launched the campaign tuning into what customers were referring to. So for instance, if you look at something as simple as a moisturizer or, a lip oil, those two products, which are best sellers when it comes to Ramadan because they're focused on hydration, they're actually referred to in Arabic very differently in KSA and UAE. Mm-hmm. So the human element is extremely important because the way it goes is you launch something or you prepare something and then you need to really closely monitor how people are receiving that and then build on that. So you have to be very close to your retail stores because that's where all the traffic is. That's where all the human interactions are. You have customers stepping in, they're giving feedback on tones, they're giving feedback on campaigns, and then you need to go back and use your engines, use your AI to make that experience online as seamless as possible. Mm-hmm. And I think one point here is that because Ramadan is becoming extremely desirable in terms of collections, in terms of capsules that are even launched by luxury and fashion home houses, last year was the first year that we launched that campaign across European countries where there's a lot of people practicing Ramadan. And what we came to notice was that the assets and the choice of words was extremely important when it comes to launching the same exact campaign with the same packaging, same products, same best-selling products. You'll see the spikes are equal. People are looking at glam towards the end of Ramadan because they're stepping into Eid. They're looking at gifting also because they're stepping into Eid. But what was important was really showcasing faces that the customers resonated with. So in the choice of models, there was an approach that was followed for the Middle East, which were models that they could resonate with, people that they know have a similar story, people that have graduated from the same university as us, people that have had the same upbringing. Of course, the models were extremely beautiful across, but then when you tackled the European markets, you could choose models that resonated a bit more with them over there. So of course, if it was to implement one solution fits all in Paris and in Dubai, something was going to break in either markets. So it's extremely important to localize and customize what you're presenting to your customers.
This is very interesting because me being as a marketing in marketing, though B2B, but still, I was thinking maybe you need to talk about Italian brand and Italian vibe that you bring into the region. But with what you're saying, it feels like no, not really. It should be Italian vibe, but very localized to
100%.
People around the region. This is very interesting. And also, can you tell me when was the first time you see this shift and this huge transformation from the offline to online? And the second question about the same topic is, do you think that your offline patterns are similar to online, or is it completely different worlds and you need to look just at one and try not to notice the other one? So how do they complement each other?
Of course. I love that you used the word complement because that's an extremely interesting conversation that we're having at KIKO, and I think all other brands are as well. And it's all around omni-channel. We need to admit that the future is omni-channel. Online's doing extremely well and so is offline, but they need to complement each other and work hand in hand. I think with beauty in particular, in comparison to other brands and other experiences that I've had, beauty is always going to be retail first because, you want to swatch the products. You want to make sure that your tone is the right one when you're selecting the newest foundation. So you need to understand that the website or your pure players or, all of your partners that are working online are, of course, extremely important because they're the only store that you've got open and working 24 hours a day. And it's very interesting because I was looking at data the other day and I was looking at trends, and when people visit the website, and you'll see it's extremely random and skewed across different times. So we have spikes at 4 a.m. on a Wednesday, and then we've got other spikes at 7 p.m. on a Friday when you'd expect people to be spending time unwinding and having dinner with family. So it's very important to understand that the website is where your customers are able to access your brand 24 hours a day. And we're also very lucky here when it comes to our retail presence because for many reasons, a lot of the people prefer to shop in the malls, whether it's the weather during summer or just the ability to be able to look at all different brands and compare within an industry as competitive as beauty. But I must say that when it comes to online, it's your digital window and it's what's available for the customer at all times. And it's extremely important to not look at it as a transactional door. It's where customers spend time browsing your latest collection. It's where they're looking at tutorials. It's where they're trying your AI match finder because they don't know which shade works for them, and maybe they're abroad or they can't visit the mall. So it's very important to show up on your website or on your partner's platforms in a way that's representative of your brand. You can't risk not being relevant or not being time sensitive. And that's where omnichannel plays the biggest role, because if a customer finds something in the store, they swatch it and they want to buy it online and it hasn't launched yet, or it's not being equally communicated, that's a bad customer experience. And that's a loss for us as a brand, and vice versa. If we launch something online and it's not in the stores and someone's, visiting the mall just to look at it, that's also a huge loss for us. So I think what's key when it comes to to looking at the channels is to understand that they complement each other. They work together. They will always have to work together. And that's why you'll see all these brands adopting things like click and collect, easy returns. And that's what customers are expecting from brands right now. Even local brands that are just entering the market, they're making it very easy to access them through maybe pop-ups or through, department stores. So it's important to be available everywhere for all of your customers. And you asked earlier about the way customers shop. I think we have to understand as well and make agree to the fact that people are very price sensitive when they shop online. And they're not very quick to convert online because they're browsing and then they receive a call or they receive they're very easily distracted. But when you're visiting the mall, you're directed towards a certain store and you want to buy something and then you want to go home or go have lunch or watch a movie or something. So when you're online, it's very important to keep your customers engaged and to avoid things like, long loading times for your pages or abandoned carts or models that are very close to your face and not relevant to you, or content that's boring, or a tutorial that's not relevant to the moment. So there's a lot of stress on how a brand is presented online, only because how distracting and how competitive it is. You're browsing Snapchat or Instagram and you're bombarded with ads from so many brands at the same moment. But in the store, it's obviously where all of the insights and the qualitative information comes in, because you're interacting with your customers, you're understanding what they're looking for, what they like, what they don't like. And I think it's extremely important that both channels complement each other at all times across industries, not just beauty.
And do you have the unified campaigns, or you can do something just online or something just offline? Or usually you're trying to unify somehow?
I think the way I see it and the way I believe will work is that they're unified, but there definitely has to be moments of differentiation. So you'll find, things as simple as gifts with purchases in the store, activations, pop-ups, things that are only available and only able to be done offline. And then you'll find other things that are online exclusive. You want to test the waters sometimes, understand if a specific bundle works together. I think that's the beauty of online as well. The work and the efforts and the time that you put into testing things online is very minimal compared to a store floor where you've got so many beauty assistants, at peak hour, who are trying to really customize the experience. So I definitely think online is a place where you can experiment a lot more with exclusives, with different communication, with different assets. You A/B test different homepages, different checkouts, different carousels for products, different bundles. And you have a vast amount of information and data that you can extract from that. And that's the beauty of online. But I think the key and what's non-negotiable is having an omni-channel approach where at the very least, the customer is able to find the same product at both doors at the same time.
When we talk about omni-channel, I want to talk a little bit more about this AI transformation and what does it mean to you? This is something that everyone talks about, but it's usually hard to define what is the impact of AI and what role in this digitalization it actually plays. So can you tell us what's going on in KIKO Milano in terms of AI transformation? Where do you use it? Where not yet? And do you believe it will be like with the Gen AI solution, it will be a new step for the brand or not?
Definitely not a nice to have anymore. AI is a must. It's all about the implementation of AI within your ecosystem. So I'll give you a few examples. The first one I can think of right now, and the one that really, made an impact on our top line was using the search engine optimization, as I mentioned earlier, and customized carousels. So what you're very lucky to have online, as I mentioned, is you're able to track every single person with full attention, unlike the store floor. So you're able to look at the end of the day and see how people navigated the journey online, what they looked at, where they dropped off, what they engaged with the most, how many sessions they had on your homepage. And that's where AI is coming into a very impactful play. And it's through customization. and through making the customer feel like, we're speaking to them, just them at that particular moment. One of the most interesting case studies we had was when we started using Algolia for recommendations in terms of products. So when a customer lands on a certain product page, you always have, frequently bought together, or you may also like. There's a lot of carousels that you can engage the customers with. Yeah. And we did see an uptick there. I wouldn't say it moved, mountains. It didn't break records, but we saw an increase, a double-digit increase in conversion rate through, all the sessions that were search led. We also saw a lot of engagement and a higher AOV when it came to bundling certain products in the carousels that were targeted in the product pages. So definitely. The thing with beauty specifically is that it's fast-paced, and I can't stress that enough. You're sitting in the office and then you get a call that we've sold out of a certain highlighter in a store in Kuwait, and there's a line queuing in another store, and you really need to react to that. And while AI is extremely helpful, it's not that human element. There's a layer missing if you're not on top of things and you're not adding the human and the team element to it. So we look at AI when it comes to, as well, speaking to our customers. So how I don't like to call them chatbots, because chatbots, I think, have frustrated a lot of us in many instances. I like to think of WhatsApp and all those communication levers as concierge gateways, where you're able to customize and really speak to the customer in a tone that's not robotic. So it really...
And at the same time, is it robotic? Is it chatbots, or is it humans?
It is chatbots. But I think the beauty of AI is that they're learning a lot as they go. So machine learning is not replacing humans. It never will. But you're able to create a more empathetic and a more engaging conversation with your customers. You're able to create quizzes when it comes to skincare that really tackle the customer's concerns. So obviously, the first layer will always be humans, because we know the direction of the brand. We know what's coming. We know what's trending. We can't just, extract information from TikTok and look at keywords and hashtags and just embed it into that machine and ask them to do our job for us. But we can definitely get them to learn and direct them towards, peak hours, things like concerns and how they spike amongst the year. So we know in summer, for instance, it gets extremely hot here. Customers are always worried about, skin irritation. They're looking for the right product. I think as we tapped into different categories also last year, we launched our hair care line, fragrances, sun care. So we started to see that customers were shopping a lot more widely on the website. It's not just a matter of pushing a specific shade of lipstick. It's becoming more deep than that. And I think what you need to do with AI is to teach it, set it on the right path, and make sure it's showing up for the customers in the way that you want to. And then also execute things internally when it comes to, stock planning and demand planning. That's where AI and that's where machines really help, because I wouldn't say it's fixed. Obviously, there is a lot of things that change, but it's a lot easier to tackle, Christmas periods or Ramadan, or demands when you're having a Black Friday campaign, or when you're having a specific promotion, or when you're launching a new product. It's easier to understand that there's going to be a spike and to kind of plan ahead with the help of AI, but never with the substitution of humans.
I see. And do you believe that the next AI challenge will be to get rid of human and just to be AI only? Do you feel that your customers and clients will be okay with that, or not yet?
I would be very disappointed if AI substituted humans in any aspect. I think AI should be complementary at all times. I think the human bond is way too precious to be replaced by anything, but that's just me. And I think I'm very sentimental and emotional when it comes to that. But I think there are definitely functions where AI can at least very much help, or very much clear up time for us to become more strategic leaders rather than executioners, because we create the systems. So it doesn't make sense for me to be looking at something or merchandising something that AI can probably and will probably do better than me, because they've got all the information. But we're always gonna have to be there, and I think we're always gonna help AI deliver what we want them to deliver as well.
Mm-hmm. And do you believe that I will put it this way. Do you think that sometime soon, KIKO Milano can be tech company more than stores and boutiques?
I don't think so because of it being beauty. I think definitely we are enhancing and advancing in terms of technology, in terms of customer experience, in terms of how we show up for our customers. With the omni-channel approach, with communication, with loyalty. Our loyalty program is very digital and very customer centric in terms of, you've got games that engage customers on the website, immersive experiences. But I think that it's always going to be mostly towards offline because of the nature of the product. People are going to want to swatch in the stores regardless of how good the experience is online.
I see. And do you have any male customers?
Yes, we do.
Really?
You'll be surprised.
Really? I'm really surprised. And what is the split?
No, definitely dominated by female. I'd say not less than 80%. But you've got a lot of husbands shopping for their wives as well. I think, as I mentioned, as we've introduced the fragrance line and the hair care and sun care line, we've seen a lot more interest within the male category, but definitely dominated by female.
Right.
Or females using their husband's credit cards and accounts. So.
Talking about this, I'm also very interested to talk to you about the culture and the working environment here in GCC. I used to work in different regions, in Singapore, in Eastern Europe. And when I come here and start to work here, I felt very nice. And when I travel, people ask me, how is it there? Is it diverse enough? Do you feel okay being a woman in the company? So you being in your position and being a woman here in the Middle East, how do you feel? Do you agree that this is a safe environment, or there are some things that people coming here to the region need to take into consideration?
That's a very interesting question, and I can spend hours speaking about this. But I think what I would like to start with is that it's another misconception about the Middle East that I think is changing. It's definitely a safe space. We were talking about jobs earlier, you and I think there's always going to be like a handful of apples. Some of them are going to be rotten, others aren't going to be. I think people here are understanding more and more with time that women no longer participate. They actually lead, they present. And I've been lucky enough to be one of the women here in the region that has been granted opportunities to speak and to lead a team in brands that are fast-paced, brands that are advanced. I think overall, it's definitely a safe space. There will be exceptions, just like anywhere else in the world. But the Middle East is definitely becoming a lot more female-centric. I think I feel that hands-on because I'm in the beauty industry where it's very dominated by influencers that are female. Yeah. But when it comes to working and when it comes to being heard, I definitely think Middle East is somewhere where a lot is happening. There's a lot of influence that is no longer as Western as we expected. Yeah. I think over here, women and Middle Easterns in general, we're no longer following, we're actually leading. The entire world is looking at the Middle East right now and waiting for the big next thing. And females are a very big part of that. We're representing across all industries, even when it comes to things that are not, because you mentioned earlier Italy, and bringing on Italian campaigns, Italian faces. I think the beauty of that is that now our models and our local campaigns are being endorsed in the West, and that will continue to happen and will continue to grow. And I think it's complementing each other. If the customers are looking for females, then employers should also be looking for females. We have very strong voices, and we're getting louder and louder. So I think it's definitely a safe place to be.
Oh, I absolutely agree with this. But also, you've been here in the region for more than 20 years, and you saw not only AI transformation, but also what's happening with the region. And can you name one thing that it still needs to be changed here?
What we need to do more of, even though we're doing a lot of, is to endorse cultural storytelling.
Yeah.
I think there's still a line that needs to be blurred between what's local and what's global. And I think when it comes to the experience, we need to understand that premium is not expensive. That's not what people are looking for anymore. Premium is not, standing in queues for hours because you want the a limited edition handbag that costs a ton of money. People are really looking for an experience that's premium more than the materialistic approach that I think has been conceived about the region here. I like to use Gen Z as an example because they are an extremely important purchasing group right now. And I don't think we're paying enough attention to them because in 10 years, they're going to be the most powerful purchasers. And I think what we see when we engage with them is that premium is a lot more, sustainable and conscious than it was 10 years ago. And I think in the region here, we need to pay a lot more attention to that and show up as brands and as workplaces and employers and just really people that understand that the conversation is shifting towards a lot more sentimental things than materialistic things.
Oh, I was about to start our quick questions, but not yet, because when you started to talk about Gen Z and attention that they are not getting yet, I'm very curious. We all will be there very shortly with the AI and Gen Z generation. So what is the approach that you need to amplify when talking to these people, to the young ones?
I think the approach is to, if I may, Victoria, is to listen a lot earlier than you talk to them. You really need to step away from being tone deaf. I think being in the Middle East, it's fast-paced, but it's also it's very diverse and it's very disruptive. So a lot happens and Gen Z take part in everything. So I think we need to really listen to the conversations they're having and we know where they are. They're online. Yeah. So they've made it very easy for us to understand what they're thinking, what they're liking, what they're not liking. So I think we need to be very, very agile, very flexible, and we need to adapt to them because they will not adapt to us. You have children that are close to teenage years, so I know you'd understand.
Absolutely.
It's they're not told what they do, what to do. They're not told what to buy, how to wear, what they're wearing, what to eat. They make their own decisions, and I think we need to be extremely reactive. I think the buzzword the last 10 years was proactivity. You need to be ahead of your customers. I think with Gen Z, you need to be very reactive. You need to listen first and then make sure you have a system and an ecosystem within your business that's very flexible, very agile, and very quick to react to what they need. I think they won't take any bluff. The big words and the big campaigns that we used to see 20 years ago and 15 and 10 years ago that worked on us will not work on them. They read, right between the lines. I have my younger sister, she's Gen Z, and it's very difficult with her to navigate a conversation or direct a conversation in a way that's not exactly as it is. And I think we need to listen to what they're saying and understand that they mean it and understand that that's what they're looking for and respect that that's what they expect from brands and also understand that the competition is vast. So if you're not going to do it right, another brand again will, and that's going to be the end of it.
Rana, you said that you know where they are. They are online. So do you think that going to an offline store is just a waste of time for the Gen Z or not?
That's a very good question. I think when I say online, it's where they're making a lot of noise, but I think Gen Z is extremely interested in experiences. They're very experimental, and that's why you'll see in KSA, for instance, pop-ups are receiving a lot of attention because they want to feel exclusive. They want to immerse into an experience that's tailored to them. So I think they're not going to hop on any wave, or any trend. They're going to make sure that what they're visiting or the time they're spending or investing into visiting the mall is not just transactional. So they're not going to go shopping. They're going to go try a new place, snap a few pictures, review something, and then probably end up in a pop-up or end up in an immersive experience that they're going to be able to connect over and to speak about later. So definitely offline is still important. I think in a way they're very present, even though we feel like they're not. And to be present in the moment and to actually be happy with where they are, we need to create experiences offline that are not just transactional and a lot more engaging and interactional and immersive in nature.
Yeah. One more question I'm thinking about. When you say omni-channel, does it somehow include platforms like ChatGPT and Genesis and etc. Or not yet? Or we're just talking about
I think
websites, apps, or what's
I think we're not there yet. I think when I speak of omni-channel, I mean all the digital fronts, of course. That you look at TikTok Shop that's doing extremely well, as we know in the States. So you look at all the digital fronts and all of the gateways that are transactional, Instagram and such. And of course, I would never miss mentioning the pure players. So you've got fast commerce is. I think we should all keep an eye out for fast commerce. And that's a conversation I have internally a lot as well. You're competing with big names that deliver in 10 and 15 minutes. You can't have next day or 2-day delivery. It doesn't make sense. I think when it comes to the tools or the ways they engage in communication like ChatGPT, as you mentioned, it's a very nice area to understand what they're doing and what they're looking for. But I think when it comes to omni-channel, it's still a lot more experimental and a lot more about the shopping experience rather than just the conversation they're having.
All right. It will be interesting to talk again in a year.
Let's see.
To see whether or not ChatGPT that everyone talks, that it will be like a new channel for retailers as well. It will be a new chapter. We'll see. We'll see. Interesting. All right. Amazing. So let me have our lightning round. I will ask you as a beauty expert, mostly, a few questions. So don't think a lot, all right? Okay. Live makeup tutorials. Do you think it's a sales booster or is just noise?
It's a sales booster if done correctly, if executed with relevance and within the right moment. Definitely a sales booster and a way to engage your customers, I must say.
And do you AR lipstick try on? Is it the real driver, or again it's like something like to play with?
Again, as all other AI and artificial things, if executed and if rolled out correctly, I think it's definitely important and it's a real driver. But you need the human element, you need the feedback, you need the disclaimers, you need proper UX copy that tells you this shade, with proper lighting, you might need another undertone that's a bit more olive rather than neutral. So definitely a lot more human driven, but it's important. I think people are engaging a lot in try-ons.
So it will be AR and then you decide whether or not it's a match for 100%. You. Nice.
Definitely.
Influencer collabs, last in trust or is it a quick hype?
That's a tough one. I think it's a little bit of both. I can't choose one of the two. I think...
you're very diplomatic.
I try. I'm still a female in this industry. So... I think it's a bit of both. I think it's the selection of influencers, as we mentioned earlier, and its relevance. It's just choosing the right influencer at the right time, communicating in the right way to the consumer, and making sure that they're relevant and something they can relate to.
Amazing. Do you have any influencer you are dreaming of getting into KIKO Milano in here?
I think that it's going to be a funny and a controversial one because of the industry, but I think someone I admire a lot is Huda Beauty. I don't see her joining KIKO Milano. I don't think that would make sense, but she's definitely a very strong woman with a lot of experience and a lot of character, and she's made a lot of huge differences in the industry and in the region. So
nice. We need to make this podcast very popular, so she hears that. Amazing. What's our beauty chat? Is it a VIP, gold mile, or it's just a support headache?
It's a gold mine if it's not a call center. So if it's not just the typical interactions with customers, it's an opportunity to really customize and elevate your experience if you treat it as a concierge, as I mentioned earlier, not just a bot replying to customers.
All right. Beauty boxes. Is it a customer keeper or churn trap?
No, definitely a customer keeper. I think when it comes to discovery and, customers don't like second guessing anymore. They want to be presented with, minis and beauty boxes that showcase your entire range. So definitely a customer favorite based on experiences and a lot of success stories.
Oh, nice. AI product tips. Is it a smart upsell or is still creepy?
It can get very creepy, I must say. No, I think it's a smart upsell if executed and implemented properly with the right human interaction and overseeing. You need to monitor what it's telling your customers.
Amazing. All right. Thank you so much, Rana. My very last question for you. It's a bit futuristic. What do you think our consumer experience would be like in some 5 or 10 years?
I think when I think of 5-10 years from now, I think it's going to be very sensual. And by that, I think we're going to utilize our 5 senses a lot more than we are right now. I don't know how yet, but I think we're going to move towards a lot of sensual and immersive experiences that are not very physical, but rather remote. And that sounds very scary, but I think that's what's coming. I think that's the big next thing. So let's keep an eye out. Maybe we'll catch up then.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria.
It was
a
so
pleasure.
nice. It was almost 1 hour, right?
Thanks,
Yes.
Victoria.
It was so quick.
Thanks, Victoria. Are we done?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think we're done.
Thank you.
Thank
It was so nice speaking with you. Thank you.